Have you ever heard of a sound that haunts entire towns? A noise that just gets under your skin, this persistent drone that never, ever stops. Well, for a small slice of the population around the globe, this isn't just a spooky story. It's their everyday reality. Okay, let's dive into one of the most baffling auditory puzzles of our time, the hum.
Yeah, that's how it's often described. And listen to that word, invasive. It's not just some background noise you can tune out. It seeps into your home, into your life. It's this constant companion that most people around you are completely, totally oblivious to. Just think about that for a second. A sound that absolutely torments you, but your friends, your family, even the experts you call, they can't detect it. This is the strange and honestly kind of lonely reality for people who experience the hum. So let's get into it. Who are these people hearing this sound? And what in the world does it actually sound like? This is where our investigation really kicks off. Okay, so this is the heart of the mystery. We're not talking about a hallucination here. In a lot of these cases, it's a real, measurable sound, but it exists on the very, very edge of what humans can hear. For those who can hear it, they say it's like having a diesel truck idling just out of sight forever.
You know, one of the most famous cases of the hum happened in Taos, New Mexico. It got so much attention that researchers actually studied it. They wanted to figure out, is there a profile of a typical hearer? And what they found is pretty fascinating.
Get this, in the Taos area, only about 2% of the population said they could hear the sound. 2%! That's a tiny, specific group of people, which, as you can imagine, makes studying this thing incredibly difficult. And the sound itself, the frequency they measured was typically between 32 and 80 hertz. Now that is extremely low. It's that deep, bassy rumble that you might feel in your chest more than you actually hear with your ears. It's right on the bottom floor of human hearing. The study also noticed that age seems to be a factor. It's not a hard and fast rule, but the hearers were more often middle-aged. So that brings up a wild question. Could it be that as we get older, some changes in our hearing actually make us more sensitive to these super low frequencies? It's just one more layer to this whole mystery. And this wasn't just some quirky little problem in a small American town. Oh no. As reports started popping up from all over the planet, it became pretty clear this was a truly global phenomenon. I mean, just look at this list. From Taos back in the 90s, to Windsor, Canada starting in 2011, all the way to just recently in 2023 in Northern Ireland. This map really shows you that the hum is this widespread, ongoing issue, appearing in different decades on totally different continents. So, if the sound is real, then where in the world is it coming from? This is where the real detective work starts. Investigators have basically lined up a whole bunch of suspects, and they tend to fall into two main camps. So the theories are pretty split. Is this an external noise, something out there in the environment that only a few people are sensitive enough to pick up? Or is it internal, a phenomenon that's actually happening inside our own bodies? Now, the list of external suspects is long and pretty varied. You've got the normal stuff like big industrial fans or gas pipelines, but then you get into the more exotic theories like secret military communication systems, or even, and I'm not making this up, the mating calls of a specific type of fish. And here's the thing, sometimes one of these suspects is actually found guilty. Not every hum stays a mystery forever. The case of the Windsor Hum is a perfect example of this. So for years, thousands of people in Windsor, Canada, were just plagued by this noise. Investigators eventually traced it across the river to this place called Zook Island in the US. Then in 2020, something happened. A steel plant on the island shut down its huge blast furnaces. And just like that, the hum stopped. Gone. Case closed. But what about when there's no factory to shut down? No obvious culprit? Well, that's when you have to start looking at the internal suspects. It could be a weird form of tinnitus, a phantom noise your brain creates. Or it could be something called otoacoustic emissions. These are tiny, faint sounds our own ears actually produce that most of us just tune out. The theory is, what if hearers are just people who tune in? Beyond all the scientific curiosity, it's so important to remember this isn't just a fun puzzle. For the people who live with the hum day in and day out, the impact is profound and often devastating. Disturbing feels like a huge understatement. Imagine a sound you can never escape, a noise that follows you into the quietest rooms of your house late at night. It leads to sleep deprivation, to constant anxiety, to sheer desperation. And this is the most sobering fact of all. In the United Kingdom, this relentless noise has been tragically linked to at least 3 suicides. That really shows you this isn't just an annoyance. For some, it is a legitimate and devastating public health crisis. So how do people cope with this? Weirdly, trying to soundproof a room can actually make the hum seem louder because you're blocking out all the other background noises. So some treatments focus more on psychology. Things like cognitive behavioral therapy or CBT can help people reframe their reaction to the noise. It helps reduce the stress and anxiety, even if the sound itself doesn't go away. So after all these decades of reports, all the investigations, all the theories, where does that leave us? We've managed to solve a few cases, sure, but the larger mystery is very much still with us. And this is really the verdict. There is no one-size-fits-all explanation. The hum in one town might actually be a factory, but the hum in another town could be something else entirely. A grand unifying theory that ties all of these cases together, it just doesn't exist. At least, not yet. Ultimately, this whole mystery reminds us that our own perception of reality can be a really lonely place. And it highlights why it's so important to listen to people, to believe their experiences, even when we can't share them ourselves. So that's the big question we're left with. Are we hunting for one single culprit behind a worldwide phenomenon? Or is the hum just the name we've given to a bunch of separate, local mysteries, each one just waiting for its own detective to finally crack the case?